It was just kind of insane to see that vitriol being towards us. And all we did in that episode was say, like, wow, some men have FanDuel on their phones and they can't afford dating. Red pill content, which refers to right-wing content, often male-focused online material claiming to reveal harsh truths about society, especially around gender and relationships. It promotes rigid masculinity, frames women as hypergamous, and encourages dominance in relationships, often reinforcing toxic or misogynistic views.
Okay, what is hypergamous?
Frames women as hypergamous, as if women have not fought for the right to be equal, including make the same money as men, but then say that they're dating down if they make the same money as a man. Isn't that what you fought for with equality? So yes, women are hypergamous by nature. You don't have to frame them as such. They are. Generally speaking, women want taller men. They want men that are more fit than them. They want men that are more competent than them. And they want those men to believe that they are equal to them. So yes, women are by nature hypergamous. You don't have to frame it that way. It's just what it is.
So hypergamous is the word. I actually have this in my book.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So hypergamy is the idea that when women date, they should be dating up socially.
Okay. Socially.
Like, for instance, and this happens, we are all socialized this way. We're like, when a woman meets a man, she wants him to make more money.
Yes.
She wants him to have a higher social status. And frankly, like, men don't care. Like, I've never met a man who's like, oh, well, I have a few clients, but they're like, you know, she needs to make this amount of money and like she needs to have this education.
But that's more because they want to make sure she's sorted. In our cases, like we need, like women they think that way because they want the man to support them, right?
You should shit hit the fan, sure.
Yeah, that's hypergamy.
But I think these men who want women who make money, why do they want that woman to make money?
I don't know. I have a few clients like this. Not all of them, but like there's always 1 in 10 clients who are like, she needs to be Ivy League educated. And I'm like, okay, fine. She went to Yale.
Yeah, is that?
So anyway, it says, I saw this TikTok video. I want to show it to you. It's called Red Pill Content Ruined My Relationship.
I was with my best friend from 19 to 26 years old. You want to know what ruined that relationship? We were long distance for a period of time. I went during the pandemic and I was staying with him in Vancouver and something changed. And you want to know what changed? He started watching podcasts like Fresh and Fit. He started listening to content about MGTOW and that man changed. And I would sit across from him and not understand the person that I was seeing. I felt like I was waking up to somebody that I did not know. I am qualified to talk about this shit. I am qualified to understand the repercussions that red pill content have on men, because the person that I wanted to spend my life with, the person I was in love with, the person I wanted to fucking marry changed overnight because of the content like that. And I see now the men who do watch that content, I hear the things that they say because I would listen to it. I actually started consuming that content because I wanted to understand what happened. To all the men who asked me that question, there's your answer.
Okay. So one of the things that I'm hearing from her is that there is content out there.
Yes.
That is, let's call it red pill.
Yeah.
Do you know what that means, that reference?
I mean, you mentioned it earlier, like you read up, but like, what exactly is red pill content? Like Andrew Tate kind of stuff?
Sure. Yeah. Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit.
Yeah.
There's plenty of podcasts out there. And, you know, the one thing I always try to explain to people is that because outrage monetizes best online.
Yeah.
These men and some women, they know what they're doing. They're saying stuff that they might not even necessarily believe in.
Right.
But because it
like women saying, by and large, they'd rather be in the woods with a bear than a man.
gets engagement, they will be able to monetize off of it. Right?
Okay, yeah.
But then when you get enough listeners, you will start to also kind of believe your own shtick.
Yes.
Right? And then you'll hear phrases from these men. I mentioned Fresh and Fit in my book. I don't know if we ended up keeping Fresh and Fit or we just named their names. But that's a podcast. And, you know, they say stuff like, what do you bring to the table to a woman?
Yeah.
And it's like, why do I need to bring anything to what is this question?
Well, it's because you come with that, you have expectations in the man that you want. That's where that whole argument came from. You want a man of a certain status and a certain stature, but what are you willing to provide to him also? What do you bring to that relationship? And it doesn't have to be tangible things, but if you have a certain standard for the man that you want, you have to know what the man that you want wants if you actually plan on obtaining that man. So I thought that it was a very rational question. I understand the question. It's just to get what are you willing to provide the man that you claim to want? What are you going to give to him? What do you have to offer him? If nothing, then maybe you need to sort out what you should be providing in the relationship to make a man of the stature that you want value you.
Right? Like you're trying to determine if you want to date me by seeing like what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
Like, what do you bring to the table? Like, why is that? That's not what relationships are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. At its fundamental level. So anyway, but they get a lot of listeners. They get a lot of beautiful women who come onto their podcast to debate them.
Gosh.
Yeah.
She gonna say beautiful women and then show two women that literally just look like the algorithm. These are not beautiful women. These are unclothed women. They're just naked. And this is the reason why ugly women can't allow for modesty, because then they wouldn't be able to compete. This is the reason why you can't allow for it. Because if you had to put on clothes, you wouldn't be able to compete as well if you're not attractive for male attention. This is the reason why women are against modesty, by the way, and will shame other women for being modest.
Unfortunately, most of the women, it's not, I think they're primed not to debate back in the appropriate way. He'll say, like, some of the men will say stuff like, you think you're a 10, but you're a 3.
Okay.
And it's like,
I've seen clips of these.
Yeah,
Yes,
you've
I know
seen
what
these
you're
clips.
talking about. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't personally find it entertaining, but Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, these sort of podcasts, they have so many copycats at this point.
Yes.
And a lot of men, especially men in the loneliness epidemic, or men who are being rejected because, let's go back to China now, they're not deemed marriable by the people that they'd like to mate with.
Yeah. So that leads them to kind of...
They subscribe to this, that women suck. I hate women. I mean, that's what misogyny is the hate of women.
Yeah, and none of them are misogynists. None of them say they hate women. None of them say they hate women. And actually, from the conversations that I've had, and I didn't even think this was real until I just started doing the TikTok debates, where I'm going onto live streams and the TikToks and hearing the conversations and debating people because they're delusional, you'll find that the women are the biggest misogynists now. The women are the ones that will shame a woman who wants to cover her body up and say that modesty is and try to pick on a woman for being modest. The women are the ones that say the feminine virtues of caregiving and nurturing means that you're a weak woman if you do those things instead of just diving into capitalism or going to get a job. It's the women that are shaming the feminine in society today. You'll never see a man shame a woman for being a stay-at-home mom, but you'll see women do that. So in my opinion, from what I'm saying, it's the women that are the misogynists. I don't know any guys that say that they hate women, because that would be silly. But even if you look at the street interviews of people having these conversations, do women need men? Do men need women? When they ask the women say they don't need men, which we all know is delusional. But when you ask the men say, of course we need women. So I don't understand where this idea of that, like, there's this overabundance of misogyny in these spaces. What about the parts where they tell men that they have to be the best versions of themselves, or they can't expect a woman of virtue to come into their lives? What about the part where Kevin Samuels tells men that if you want the authority in your relationship, you have to be willing to contribute more and take on more responsibility as a man, usually regarding finances? What about that part? Because those are always the parts that women agree with, but when the things that they disagree with are also put in the place where women have duties, they call it misogyny.
And I always think sometimes, like, when I see these clips, it's like, I think a lot of these straight men like fucking women.
Yeah.
I don't think they like women.
No, of course. That's exactly it. It's not like they're not grossed out by women. They just don't like women.
Right. And now, because women are a little bit more educated over the last 5 years of, like, how to clock it in
and navigate that.
Yes, they are rejecting them. They're like, this isn't working for me. I mentioned to one of our producers earlier before we started episode that, like, the first thing that women judge any man they've ever met within 4 seconds is this man a creep?
Yep,
is this man safe?
That safety is number one. It's not like, are they fuckable?
No.
Am I safe?
Am I safe?
Yeah. No, but it's like, it's so sad. Like, that's what we go into any.
Well, when you think about the number one risk in a woman's life,
yeah,
is who she marries. Whereas like for men, it's like what, heart disease?
Yeah, but that's because men have made the world safe for you. That's why that's the reason. It's because the world has already been tamed by every other metric. And even when these men do disgusting things to women, other men come in and enforce those men to not do bad things to women. So literally, you claim that the only thing that harms you is men, but that's because we made the world safe as men, as a collective. But we're also the number one thing that protects you from harmful men. Because if good men weren't here to protect you from those men, they could just run rampant. So you can claim that they're the number one offenders or the number one risk for women, but we're also the number one protection for women too. And the only reason we're the number one risk is because we've pretty much eliminated every other risk in society.
Oh my God.
Like,
Then it's,
this is an unequal playing field.
Yeah, totally.
And, you know, it's funny because now that I just said that, I'm thinking about like online dating. You know, like one of our programs, the Dating Refresh program, is like we help singles, both men and women, online date. We help manage their online dating profile, right?
Oh, cool.
And sometimes I will look at male online dating profiles and I'm like, you're straight. Yet these photos, who are they for? Like you doing like a gym selfie with your muscles, you in front of your car. Like this is maybe for men.
Yeah.
But men are, you're on the straight side of this dating app.
It's because women like physically fit men because they show a level that they're more capable of protection, and women like men with more luxury items because it displays that they have provision, that they're able to provide. Those are literally the two basic things that women desire in a relationship. And any woman that tells you otherwise is just being disingenuous. Do not let women convince you into believing that they like men who are not fit more than men who are fit. It's absolutely not true. These are also the same types of people who will say they'd rather be in the woods with a bear than a man. They are willing to lie in order to virtue signal. Let that be known.
Men are not looking at these photos.
You're doing this for male gaze. These are male gaze.
These are male gaze photos.
Anything in a gym, anything with a car or... Exactly what,
And so I have to sit down and explain like male gaze versus female gaze. Like I have to explain the context of how their photos look to women.
Yeah.
And we just change like such minor things, like their photos.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's like, oh my God, Maria, I'm going out with all these women now. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't look like a fucking creep.
Yeah, you don't look like
a man in a gym looks like a creep. A man with a nice car looks like a creep. Come on now, this is silly. That's silly. She knows that that's not the truth. But that's silly.
If you don't look like a misogynist, you don't look like someone who's just so heavily male, you know, like testosterone.
You don't look like a guy who's being promised, 72 virgins.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you come across. When you hold a fish up in your profile, if you're holding a fish, you come across as a terrorist. No, that's not it. But like, we don't like that. We don't like you holding.
You're allowed to say that.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to explain very briefly why relationships aren't working. It's because women are abandoning feminine virtues in order to pursue masculine virtues because they think being like a man is going to make them retain a man or help them retain a man. Women value men based on their masculine virtues, their ability to protect and provide, and because men are biologically more designed to do so, we take on that burden. The feminine virtues usually revolve around reproduction because women are the only ones that can do it. It is their sacrifice to the relationship. Things like chastity, things like being nurturing, things like being family oriented, things like even wanting to have children. There are so many women that say that they don't even want to have children. Then what virtues and what responsibilities and duties do you have in the relationship when you want the man to make all the sacrifice while you go to work to provide a lifestyle for yourself because it doesn't contribute to the family? You still expect the man to provide everything that you expect him to provide. So you pursuing the masculine virtues doesn't help you retain the man because if you're not offering him those virtues, then he's not going to be willing to stay. He will still sleep with you, but he's not going to be willing to stay. And when you ask women what are their duties and what are their virtues, they start to list masculine virtues. They think that their duties in a relationship is to go to work, but they don't want to bear the responsibility of providing for a family, especially long term. They don't want that duty, but they want the authority to be able to just go to work and make their own money without the responsibility of providing for the family also. So really the issue here is women have lost the idea of what feminine virtues are. They feel like if you say those are the feminine virtues also, they get offended and say, are you just saying that women are baby makers? No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you are in a relationship, part of your sacrifice for that relationship, chastity, being family oriented, being willing to put your pursuits to the side to be family oriented, that's a biggie. Being submissive, these are all feminine virtues that men respond to and that men appreciate in women. And if you don't have those feminine virtues, men will just sleep with you. They will pump and dump. And that's the issue that you see by and large in society. Let me know in the comments below if this video was a W or a L, and give it an HBO special. That's the Help a Brother Out special. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. Till next time.